At the dawn of the 20th century, China was a nation in deep turmoil. The Qing dynasty was weakening. Foreign powers were gaining influence. And across the countryside, fear was quietly spreading. This was not a time of peace. It was a time when suspicion ruled, when religious minorities were often blamed, and when faith could cost people their lives. In the small rural village of Donglu, located in Hebei Province, northern China, lived a community of Chinese Catholics, simple farmers, families, and children, whose faith had been passed down quietly for generations. They never imagined that their village would one day become the center of a story that would echo far beyond China's borders. The year was 1900. China was in the grip of what history would later call the Boxer Rebellion, a violent anti-foreign, anti-Christian uprising led by groups who believed that Western influence was destroying Chinese culture. Missionaries were attacked. Churches were burned. Thousands of Chinese Christians were killed, not because of crimes, but because of belief. To the Boxers, Christianity was a threat. To the villagers of Donglu, faith was their only refuge. Donglu was not wealthy. It had no walls, no soldiers, no weapons. But at the center of the village stood something precious. A Catholic church rebuilt years earlier after previous persecutions. Inside the church was a statue of the Virgin Mary, honored by the villagers as Our Lady, a symbol of comfort, protection, and maternal love. As news of approaching Boxer forces reached Donglu, fear spread quickly. Villages nearby had already been destroyed. Christians had been slaughtered. Donglu knew they would be next. With no army to defend them and nowhere to flee, the villagers made a choice. They gathered in the church. Men, women, children, the elderly. All knelt together, day and night. They prayed the rosary. They wept. They asked not for victory, but for protection. According to testimonies passed down through survivors, the prayer did not stop for days. Candles burned continuously. Voices trembled with fear, yet refused to fall silent. Soon, the Boxer forces arrived at the outskirts of Donglu. They surrounded the village. Witnesses later testified that the attackers prepared to storm the church, convinced that the Christians inside were defenseless. But then something happened. According to multiple eyewitness accounts, a woman appeared above the church. She was described as tall and luminous, wearing a long robe, standing calmly above the building, holding a child in her arms. Some described her as surrounded by light. Others said the sky grew strangely still. What shocked the attackers most was not just her presence, but what stood beside her. They reported seeing figures dressed like warriors, positioned as if guarding the village. Whether interpreted as angels or not, the effect was immediate. The Boxer forces panicked. Some reportedly dropped their weapons. Others fled, shouting that the village was protected by a powerful woman. Despite being fully capable of attacking, they withdrew. Donglu was not burned. The church was not destroyed. The people were spared. In a time when thousands of Christian villages were erased, Donglu remained standing. News of the event spread rapidly. Survivors from neighboring villages confirmed that Donglu had been surrounded, but untouched. In later years, foreign missionaries and church investigators collected testimonies from villagers, including both Christians and non-Christians. The Vatican later approved the devotion to Our Lady of Donglu, recognizing the event as worthy of belief. A shrine was established, and Donglu became one of the most important Marian pilgrimage sites in China. But the story did not end there. During the Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976, religious symbols were again destroyed. The original statue of Our Lady of Donglu was removed. Pilgrimages were banned. Yet, even during those years, people secretly returned, not to see a statue, but to remember what had happened, because faith, once witnessed, cannot be erased. This story is not only about religion. It is about a powerless community facing extinction. Fear met with unity instead of violence. A moment where belief changed the course of history. Whether one believes in miracles or not, the historical impact is undeniable. Donglu survived when many did not, and for the people who lived there, survival itself was the miracle. In a time of chaos, when faith was a crime and hope was dangerous, Donglu stood, not because it was strong, but because its people refused to abandon what they believed gave life meaning. And to this day, the story of Our Lady of Donglu remains a quiet testimony that even in the darkest chapters of history, there are moments when fear steps back and something greater takes its place.